All right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thanks for showing up here. I got Katie here. Deborah from Moore, South Carolina. We keep getting more and more local South Carolinians here and North Carolinians. So thank you for showing up, Deborah, wherever you came from. Got Jen from Miami here. Amy from Indiana. Raphael, the Upside Down Meditator. It's a long story. You have to show up to the meditations if you want to know what I'm talking about. Den from New York. Katie from Greer, South Carolina. We met a couple weeks ago. Let's see, who else is on here? Sorry, I forgot your name again. I'm sorry, but from Germany. I'm not even going to try to say that. Rich here. Hey, thanks for showing up, man. Mr. Scott from Lowell, Indiana. All right, got a bunch of people. Mountain Dew showed up from Vancouver. Mountain Dew's a regular. Nico is in Vancouver as well, too. All right, so for those of you that check in here every Monday, it's normally just me, but today I have a special guest, and we're going to get to her in a minute. But I just want to share with everybody that I do have a Facebook group. If you aren't a part of that, it's easier to probably connect there, and you kind of know what kind of events I'm going to have coming up, and what we'll be doing. This is the Facebook group, but I know that's kind of like a complicated little line there. If you either want to copy and paste that, or if you just want to search in Facebook Meditation Mondays and Gregory Hodges, then it will come up. So join there, and that would be easier, because sometimes I'll do midnight meditations and little pop-up meditations, I call them, throughout the week. So I want everybody to be a part of that and be connected. So again, thank you for coming. And also I want to announce, or not announce, but just remind everybody that hasn't been here before, this Wednesday, that's August 23rd, we're going to be doing a 4-hour pineal gland meditation. It starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to go until 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's this Wednesday, August 23rd at 10 p.m. 4 hours. It's a Dr. Joe Dispenza pineal gland meditation. I don't think you can buy it. It's like a bootleg. Somebody sent it to me. Don't turn me in, or don't try to, it's just what happened. So I got it. Somebody gave it to me. I didn't steal it. And so so if you want to come join us, we're going to have a big group. It's a powerful group of people that get together and meditate. So I want to invite everybody. If you know of somebody that might be interested, then please let them know about it. We want everybody to show up and be a part of that. So we've got Jane here from Vermont. Greetings. I've got Matt. I have 4-hour meditation. Sounds like it was professionally recorded by Dr. Joe. Yeah, so I'm not the only one that's got it. So cool. Yeah, it is a nice meditation. It's not like, it doesn't sound all scratchy or anything. It sounds very professional, like he says. So anyway, that's what's going on. But as you've noticed, I've got a special guest today. So if we could give a digital round of applause for Miss Melissa over here. Clap now. Thank you. We can't hear it, but we're just going to pretend like it's going on. So Melissa reached out to me from a couple of weeks ago. She's been coming on to the live streams, and she's joined in on some meditations with us. And she reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. She found me through my video. Is that right?
Yes.
And so one of my videos that I put out, she found it there, and so she felt compelled to reach out to me. She said she would like to make a video. She reached out. The reason why she's here is she lives in Hickory, North Carolina, which is just about 50 miles away. We were going to try to do this over the internet, but your internet's not that good in Hickory. So I said, why don't you just come down here and make it easier? So this is actually probably easier for me. So I appreciate you coming. And but so I reached out to her through email. She said that she's got a story that she needed help to be able to figure out how to try to record. And so I got her on the phone, and we started talking. And she told me her story, and it totally blew me away what she did. And just was an amazing story that I just said, you got to come on the live stream and tell your story. It's just a really amazing. So that's why I've got her on here. And but once again, this is Melissa from Hickory, North Carolina, where they grow maters, taters, and a whole lot of hell. That's right. That's what they do up there. And they probably make a little corn. They make corn liquor up there too?
Probably.
Yeah. They make it around here. So we are in the Carolinas. So Anyway, I'm going to begin to start to turn it over to her, but I want to thank her for coming on and sharing her story. This isn't something that she normally does. She's not someone that you kind of even told me you're kind of a shy person in general.
Yes.
So it's hard for you to come and do these things. And so I tried to encourage her, and she actually reached out to me to wanting to do this because her story is so profound for her that she knows that there's somebody else out there that could use this story and be able to help them, if not just one person, a lot of people. And so that's why she's compelled to put that aside of her nerves and her feelings of not wanting to talk. That's how profound it was for her, that she just said she's going to have to get over it. Is that kind of?
Yeah, push
right.
myself.
Well, yeah, Melissa, thanks for coming. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're from, what kind of your family, what's going on with your family? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's been happening? How you grew up?
Okay, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So I'm from Hickory. I'm 35 years old, and I have two sons. One's almost 14, the other one's 11. And I have like 4 sisters and an incredible mom and a good dad. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, but you said you were born in Lenoir, North Carolina, and grew up in Hickory, North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Those are just, you were telling me earlier that people in Lenoir look up to people in Hickory like they're moving to Atlanta. So that's the big city. Y'all have all the Chick-fil-A's in Hickory.
Yeah, growing up in Lenoir, when you went to Hickory, it felt like you were going to the big city.
Yeah, but Hickory's not that big, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
But in relation to Lenoir. So, you started off like, how did all this start? You reached out to me. I mean, how did you, what was your life like before you found meditation? What was going on in your life?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
To try to get the
Yes, and take your time. And just so people know, we normally do the meditation around 8. We're going to get her story, and we're going to do her story, and whenever that's done, then we're going to do the meditation. So we're not going to do a hard stop at 8 o'clock. So we're not going to be pressured to stop at 8. So just take your time and tell your story, and I got your back.
Okay. So growing up, I had several traumatic things that happened to me, and so by the time I was a teenager, I kind of started to rebel, and I don't know, just never really felt safe and good in my own body. And so by the time I was like 16, I tried to take my own life, and I ended up in ICU for 3 days, and survived that thanks to my mom and to God, actually. If it weren't for my mom, I wouldn't be here right now. Several times throughout my life, I'm so thankful for her and God. But okay, so
you promised me you weren't going to cry, so I don't know what you're doing, but I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so I fell in love and I got pregnant, and the dad just kind of freaked out and left, so I just focused on my baby and stayed at home with my mom, and she helped me through that, and then ended up getting married to someone else and having children, and then by the time in 2018 I started to get really sick.
So what happened when you say you got really sick? Like you say in 2018, was it kind of like just one day you got sick, or was it like progressively? How did this all start to show up in your life? Like you're fine doing life like everybody else. You got a job, you got kids and stuff, so everything's good, and then all of a sudden you're not feeling good. What does that look like for you, and how's that progress on?
Yeah, it was a progression kind of, and then it was just like bam, it was very bad, like suddenly.
Yeah.
I had struggled with really, really painful periods and a lot of stomach issues, and so my life was never like, I didn't feel that great, but from what it went to was basically hell. It was like my body got completely stolen.
Yeah. So you were basically, you started not feeling good, and then What happened with that? You started visiting some doctors, and you were telling me they ran a lot of tests on you.
Oh yes, I went through so many different procedures trying to get to the bottom of what was going on, like lumbar
Because
punctures.
you were feeling this pain and these struggles, but they couldn't figure out what
Yes.
was happening. So, yes.
Yeah, I'd go through these spells where I would just be hit with such a strong, like almost labor-like pain, and like in my hips and back, and it was so strong that I couldn't walk, and all I could do was just cry. And
Like you literally could not walk. You couldn't get up and go walk without
it was like my body would completely just lock up from
just whatever was going on.
yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we started to investigate because autoimmune diseases run really heavily through my family. Like my dad, two of my sisters, my cousins, like a lot.
So is that what you ended up getting was an autoimmune disease? Is that what the doctors... Now, so you were
Yes.
saying that you ran all these tests. They couldn't figure out what it was, but then they came up and they figured that it was some sort of autoimmune disease.
Yes, a rare condition called adult onset Still's disease.
Yeah, never heard of it, but doesn't sound fun at all, though.
No.
Yeah.
So once I got that diagnosis, they started me on the treatment, which was like really, really high doses of prednisone, and then methotrexate injections, which is like essentially a low dose chemotherapy.
Uh-huh.
And then
And that's what they were doing to try to treat the autoimmune disease.
Yes.
So pump you with all this chemotherapy type of products. That,
yes.
yeah. So how did that look? Like before you felt terrible, then they started giving you those drugs. Did you feel better?
I did see a difference, but it would I would start to do better, and then it would just be bad again, and I would end up back in the hospital, and like they would give me high doses of steroids through the IV, and through this time period is when I started to experience some pretty severe heart issues of really, really high heart rate, and they would have to give me medications to get it down and under control.
Mm-hmm.
I went through,
So you're saying like your blood pressure was high or low, or what was?
my blood pressure was like very low, and my heart rate was very high, and when I would stand, when I could stand, it was a condition called POTS, which is
POTS?
yes,
Like POTS.
yes,
Okay.
which it stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome.
So you had this autoimmune, whatever that was called before, and then this POTS thing as well too,
Yes.
that was messing with your heart.
Yes.
Now I'm not a doctor, clearly. I think most people can figure that out pretty quick. But so it sounds like if your blood pressure was that low and your heart rate was that high, like maybe you're prone to maybe having a stroke or having a heart attack. Am I wrong to assume that?
No, they told me all of the risks over and over again, almost like threatening me in a way.
Like they were almost threatening you?
Yeah, just trying to just make sure that I was very careful, and listening to about taking medicines because I was kind of defiant. I argued with a lot of doctors.
Meaning what, that you didn't want to take the medicines and
Yeah.
stuff? You were trying to stay away from that?
Yeah, because, I could tell that the prednisone was helping, but it was also making things worse because when you take prednisone, it increases your heart rate. And so it was like, you do this and you don't, it's kind of screwed either way.
Yeah, you're fighting a fire with water and gasoline maybe at the same time. I just
Yeah.
made that up, but maybe is that kind of the...
Yeah.
You're putting it out over here, but it's kept flaring up over here.
Yeah.
And just kind of a constant back and forth kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what kind of so where were you at with so that you got all this stuff the doctors are telling you, and then you're feeling all this, and what kind of, do you want to talk about some of the symptoms that you had during that, like how that felt and looked?
Yeah, so POTS is a form of dysautonomia, and so I started to experience a lot of forms of dysautonomia, which dysautonomia is dysfunction of your autonomic nervous system. So I ended up developing gastroparesis, which is essentially your stomach stops digesting food, or very slowly.
Yeah.
They made me eat like radioactive eggs and then take pictures of my stomach and see where the eggs were at, and they were still there when they should have been gone. And so I had like a lot of issues with almost everything that your body just naturally does. My body didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And then I started developing another condition called erythromelalgia, and that's severe burning of your hands and feet.
Yeah, you were talking about a little bit of that earlier. How you want to talk about the temperature? Should we talk about that now? The temperature that you had to stay at.
Yeah, it got to the point where we had to keep the house at 62 degrees because anything hotter, it would instantly make like all of my veins in my hands like look like Hulk, and they would be really red and.
So they would swell up.
Yes.
They'd swell up and just be that feeling would be terrible.
Yes. It was a nightmare.
So if you were even saying earlier that like if the temperature was like 63 and not 62.
Yeah.
Like it had to be 62 is what you dialed it in. If it was 63, your body's out of whack. If it was 61, your body's out of whack.
Yeah.
What was the difference? You said that if it was a little bit hotter, it was this, and if it was a little bit colder, it was like this.
Yeah, anything lower than 62, it would be a condition called Raynaud's. That would kick in, which it was like severe freezing of the hands and feet. And so my feet and hands would look white and blue, and it would literally feel like you had your hands in snow. And I couldn't even like cover up with the blanket. I was very, very, very uncomfortable. I never thought I could ever get comfortable again.
Yeah. And how long did all this go on for? You dealing with these sicknesses and these issues of where you had to keep the temperature at 62 degrees. I find that unbelievable that you had to do that. I mean, if it was 63, you're just miserable. Just as.
Well, from like 2018 to 2022, basically.
Yeah. So for 4 years you were dealing with that.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned also that you went to Missouri or something like that.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay.
So yeah, I'd gotten down to like 80 pounds because of the severe stomach issues and all of that. And the doctors were basically telling me, you're going to die if you don't. They were wanting to do a feeding tube, and I was.
Now, why would they be doing a feeding tube?
Because it bypasses your stomach. It was going to be a J tube, and so it would just like directly go into your small intestine.
Well, you say what would go in, like the food?
Yes.
Okay, so basically your food would just bypass everything, and you would eat stuff, but it was not absorbing food.
Right, but even that part of my GI system wasn't really working. So that's where I was like, that's not going to really help when, your body is just literally not doing what it's supposed to. So
should we go through and show them some pictures?
Okay.
Why don't we've got some pictures that she's brought. Nothing's really gross or anything like that. You don't have to worry about that. But we're just going to go through some pictures so you can kind of get an idea. You can see what she's talking about. Is there one particular you want to start at? Is this one fine?
That one's fine.
Why don't you just tell us what this is and where you were at with this? Is this when you said you were down to 80 pounds?
Yes, you can.
And how tall are you?
5'6.5".
So 80 pounds is not really healthy at all.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't sound healthy for anybody.
So
this is you at 80 pounds?
Yes.
Okay.
You could literally see my heart beat through my chest. It was so bad, and every bone. I don't think I had an ounce of fat on me at that point, and I was bedridden.
Right. Let's see. And then this here is.
That was the erythromelalgia. You can see the veins in the hands being really red.
Right. So basically, this is a time where the temperature rose to above 62, and your hands are on fire, basically.
Yes.
And you can really tell by the veins popping out there. You could feel that, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then this is I guess this is your.
My chronic low blood pressure. And my heart rate right there was actually not too bad for 112 because it would reach like 180 to 90 a lot.
So it would stay high a lot of time. 180, 190.
Yes.
That just sounds high for sure. And this is you, or these? I'm assuming those are your kids back there.
Yes. It's my sons. We were going to Walmart. I barely ever got out, but if I did, I had to have my wheelchair due to my heart rate and pain.
The pain, you couldn't walk.
When I was going through the flare-ups, I couldn't walk, but when they would subside, I could walk, but it was very difficult.
Yeah. And then we got this here. This is you, and I'm assuming this is at 80 pounds as well, too.
Yes, that's where I was bedridden, and that is my dog that I had for about 18 years.
That's a good-looking dog. And then this is you as well here.
That's when I started developing the lesions over my entire body, which they did a biopsy on, and it came back like one of the rarest forms of lupus.
So you also got lupus as well too?
Yes.
How many things did you have?
It was a lot, yeah.
Mercy, you're a mess.
Yes.
So you had lupus and POTS and autoimmune diseases, and you were fine before. It wasn't like you had one or two of these things and it
Yeah.
got worse. It just, all this showed up kind of during this time.
Yes.
And so these lesions are from the lupus that you got.
Yes, but at the Mayo Clinic, did I say that yet?
No,
So-
maybe you want to talk about the Mayo. Well, let's finish these last two pictures, then we'll talk
Okay.
about that. So this is you. I'm assuming you're around 80 pounds there.
Yes, I was getting close to it, yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess those are more lesions there.
Yes.
Well, you want to talk about the Mayo Clinic that
Okay, so we went to the Mayo Clinic because we were losing hope that the doctors around here were going to keep me alive. And so we went up there, and they...
And you're saying that because you're saying the doctors around here were kind of like going, they didn't really have any answers. They were just kind of telling you, like, you might want to be careful.
Well, yeah, they kept increasing the medications, and I just kept getting sicker, and and then telling me if you don't start gaining weight, you're gonna die, like from malnutrition, or your heart's gonna give out, or
Yeah.
all of the other issues that could come from that. And they were telling me that my heart, the test they were running, it was showing that it was not doing good.
Yeah.
So we went to the Mayo Clinic, and so that was my first plane ride, and went to Minnesota, and I was up there for several weeks while they ran a lot more tests, and it came out that they thought that the lupus was actually drug-induced from the Humira, which was one of the many medications that I was on, and they had just said that a lot of what I had went through was complications from that, like from the medications, and they were able to help me in a lot of ways physically with my stomach, and I was able to start getting food down. They knew a lot of what I could actually do, like to eat. Like they were very, they knew a lot about gastroparesis and these conditions that doctors around here didn't. So I started drinking like protein shakes. I was basically on, it was like this muscle mass, and that's all I could drink. And so they helped me start doing that, and then told me basically that the rest of the conditions, they thought that it was just going to be management, that that's just how I was going to have to live. But the dysautonomia, unfortunately.
What did you call it?
Dysautonomia.
Is that another disease on top of the other stuff?
No, that's the umbrella term for all of the POTS and the gastroparesis.
They tried to give it one name for all the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they helped me be able to start eating again and all of that. So then we came back, and I was still going through really severe menstrual things, like really, really bad. And I found a surgeon, and she's like, I think you have endometriosis. And I was like, I have been saying that, and I tried to get the doctors to listen to me about that. And they were like, well, you have children. And I'm like, well, I had read so much on it, and I'm like, they're really wrong about endometriosis and saying that you can't have children. I mean, that can be the case sometimes, but for others, you can still have children. So anyways, I had the surgery, and when she went in there, it was so severe that like my kidney ureters were like, one of them was pulled all the way to the other side, and
The other side of like the other kidney, like just
adhered from the scar tissue and the disease, and all my pelvic organs had been glued together, and so she removed all of that and gave me a hysterectomy. So after that, I started to improve a little bit more, but I still was
So,
struggling.
so you've had all kind of procedures. They've tested, and you got all these diseases and these lesions all over you, and you can't have the temperature above 62. And this is all while you're traveling, all this stuff. So when you would travel, like it would just be like your arms were on fire, or your feet would be on fire.
Yeah, I would actually travel with cold rags tied around like my ankles, and then I had these devices called Ember Waves, and it's like this device that tries to cool you down, and it would help kind of
Yeah, you just
get
had-
through it.
yeah.
I would literally take ice packs and just put it on the bottoms of my feet and just have my feet on the ice packs. And it would trigger the Raynaud's, but the Raynaud's was a little bit more, like I could handle it a little bit more better than the burning. The burning was just like, I would just be like, I can't do this, you know, just like tap out. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so you had this surgery with the hysterectomy. You did that. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that?
No.
Is there any other details you want to give about your conditions that you have that maybe I don't want to move on because I know it's important for you to tell your story?
Oh, yeah, I started developing chilblains, which is essentially like frostbite on all over my toes, and it was really, really painful, and that's because my body couldn't regulate my temperature, and so I would go, you know, from the hot to the cold, and it would make like frostbite. And so yeah, I just wanted.
So you would get like these. If I'm reading you right, they're like sores on your toes, on your feet.
Yes.
And you called them what, chilblains or something?
Yes.
Did you make that name up, or is that like something?
That's what
they call them?
It's a condition. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so that was another thing that you were dealing with. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so you're in the you're basically at a point to where it sounds like what you've been telling me is you got all these things going on, and you just are starting to have to just go, well, I'm just going to have to accept this is how things are. Is that kind of where you were at? I'm assuming. I'm asking, I guess. And you just
Not
like
really,
okay.
actually. I kept researching, and I know I drove my mom crazy. Well, she wanted me to be able to figure it out, but I'd be like, Mom, you know, I would just be like messaging her constantly of like, maybe we could try this, or maybe it's actually this condition, like just trying to get an answer and some Western medical answer.
Yeah.
And then that's.
So yeah, how did you go from having all those diseases, and how did you end up finding meditation? How did that come about for you?
Okay, so my mom had told me she had started watching a show on Gaia called Rewired, and she's like, I think you should watch this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's it about? And she's like, well, it's this Dr. Joe, and he says you can rewire your brain, and you can heal through meditation. And
Did you know of meditation before this?
I did, but not like this. I
Okay.
just like knew
Knew
the
of it.
5-minute little trying
Yeah.
to clear your thoughts.
Yeah, like, oh, I feel good.
Yeah, I had no idea what.
What was capable of happening?
Yes.
Yes. So your mom turned you on to that. And I'll just say that she's from Hickory, North Carolina, very conservative town. I'm assuming your mom, she's probably very conservative, where she's probably grabbing at straws trying to find things that you didn't grow up with meditation or
No.
anything like that. Yeah, it's not something that was taught to you by your mom, but your mom is just probably grabbing at straws like, maybe if this helps 1%, let's try it.
Yes.
And so you saw the video there, and so were you? Go ahead.
Like 10 minutes into the show, he started talking about, our autonomic nervous system and how we get into this, like from traumatic events, which I had so many as a child and teenage years, and then all of the medical trauma, you get like in a really incoherent state from your heart and your brain. And I was like, oh my God.
It started resonating with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think I should pay attention to this.
Did you just mention that you told me earlier that he started talking about the autonomic nervous system?
Yes. Yeah, he did. And it just kind of blew me away because like he was saying, like everybody that's got, problems, like it starts there.
Starts
and
where?
I was like with your autonomic nervous system
Okay, yeah.
and having your heart and your brain being incoherent. And I was like, that's literally my condition was dysautonomia.
So it got your attention.
Yes.
So is that when you kind of went, huh, interesting.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So you watch that and you're connecting with that. And so what, you buy some meditations? Is that kind of what?
I found like on Spotify the AM, PM meditations, which is like 20 minutes.
Your little 20-minute meditations, yes.
And I started with that, and I really enjoyed it. I was like, okay. And then about a month of that, I found Blessings of the Energy Center #5 because it said at the end you lay down and your autonomic nervous system resets and you like heal. And I was like, that's the one I have to do.
Yeah. And so you got that one.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what happens? You start meditating and you're seeing results right away? Are you seeing like, what is your thoughts of meditation, doing it for an hour? Did you struggle with it? Was it hard for you? Did you enjoy it? Or, yeah, I mean, how did that journey, you got the meditation, you're starting to meditate. What does that look like from there on?
I didn't really struggle getting into the meditation, but like some point through, my body would be like, oh God, you gotta move. It's like, that was my biggest thing I had to get over, was I had to remember to, okay, go back to meditating, don't focus on your body. But so I fell in love pretty quickly, and I started to just want to meditate. And I was like, well, mentally I'm doing better. And that meant a lot to me.
So you started noticing like mental changes.
Yeah.
You were talking about earlier that you were like kind of negative and things like that, and it just kind of turned. You started being a little more positive, and.
Yeah, I was pretty neurotic. As I would always picture the worst case scenarios and just be, pessimistic and just never looking at the bright side of things. And then that's when all of that started to change, and I started doing the writing work with Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and I was like, wow, I can completely rewire myself to be exactly who I want to be.
So you started seeing it.
Yes.
Started seeing like, oh, this is something. Now, were you starting to see effects like meditation and your symptoms at this point?
Okay, so I'd like have a mystical experience, and I would come out and I'd be like, I'm healed, and I would like look at my toes and see that they were still covered in frostbite, and I would get kind of disappointed.
Those sores that you talked about, yeah.
The chilblains.
The chilblains.
And
so you would come out of the meditation, and then you would be like, I'm healed, like it just kind of like out of excitement.
Yeah, because of how just amazing it feels.
But you're saying, but you're not, but you weren't healed.
Right.
So.
And but at some point along the way, I just accepted it. I accepted that I was just going to live in 62-degree weather and do the things I did to be able to get outside to the car, and that I was like in love with life, and I looked at life so differently, and I thought, wow, you survived, you're alive, and that's enough.
Yeah.
And so I was just happy. And I started to notice that, like, when I would take my shower, I could have it a little bit warmer. And I was like, interesting.
It started getting your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I slowly started working the temperature up in the house, like 1 degree at a time.
How did that feel when you moved it up and you were like, oh wow, I'm not freaking out, like.
Amazing.
And were you associating the meditation?
Yes.
So you were totally like, oh, this is something that's happening here.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I slowly worked all the way up to like 72 degrees, and that's when my children were like, okay, please stop. Don't make the house warmer than that.
In the middle of summer, probably.
Yeah. And so I can't tell you when the chilblains actually went away. Some point in that summer, they went away, because just one day I happened to look down and it's like, they're all gone.
All like those sores on your feet were just gone.
Yep.
Yeah. And at that time, when you noticed that, you were like, when it connected with you, did you start going, what about all the other issues you had, the walking, the pelvic, all that? When did you keep going?
It all just fell away.
Yeah.
And I just kept building my strength. I would work out every day, and then I started to mountain bike, because I was like, things that I always thought were cool that I wanted to do, but I was too scared to do before I got sick. I was like, here's your chance.
Right, yeah.
And
You really couldn't mountain bike because your heart, all that heart stuff you're talking about, you
Yes.
could die just standing up.
Right. And
So what changed between you being in a wheelchair and you just going mountain biking?
But
I mean, what was the thing that made you get from there to there?
God and meditation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And so, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. I'm
But
sorry.
I was still on a heart medication that controlled my heart rate, and when I started to notice that my body was regulating and I was getting to eat so much more foods, I went from a very, very strict diet to eating more and more. I was like, I'm going to start weaning off this heart medication. My cardiologist wasn't too happy about it, so he like monitored me and made me check in with him, but I slowly weaned off of it, and here I am.
Here you are. So basically, what you're telling me is you went, you got sick with a bunch of diseases that I've never heard of, and you got injected with a lot of different medications. They did surgeries. They did a hysterectomy on you. You had almost had strokes, heart attacks. You were in the hospital. You got down to 80 pounds. And really the only thing that saved you from all of that was just meditation. And here you are today. How long has it been? Or let me ask you this. How long was it from when you started meditating to like where you went, I am done. There's no more issue. I have none of. Wait, so let me just get it straight. You don't have any of those autoimmune diseases or anything now. It's all
No.
gone.
Yes.
All the heart issues, the POTS, the whatever you were talking, all that stuff you mentioned earlier, you don't have any of that now.
No.
It's all gone. And
Yeah.
you're healthy, you aren't on any medication. That's absolutely incredible. We can give her a digital round of applause, please. That would be great. But yeah, that's absolutely incredible story. I can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it. I've seen it before, but it's amazing that happened to you and kind of that I get to hear your story. But yeah, that's amazing. All that work the doctors did on you, and they could have just told you to meditate, and
Yeah.
would have been a lot cheaper. That's just amazing that it is that powerful, and it is. So, what is there anything else you want to share on to wrap up the story there?
I just want to say that I still meditate because I just don't see why more people don't. It's just so amazing, and I love it, and trying to teach my children to do it, and I just feel like it's like equally as important as sleep is.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think it was with the? I mean, clearly the meditation worked, but I mean, do you think that you really had those diseases, or is it just stress, or I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a stupid question. I mean,
No, I get what you're saying, but I think every autoimmune condition, it starts off from stress and having the incoherent, heart, brain, and genetics, unfortunately, but it doesn't have to rule you, is how I see it now. And because all of my markers were showing, high ANA and like Sjogren's, that was another autoimmune condition that kept popping up. And the last time I was tested, my ANA was almost completely not negative. It wasn't negative, but it was very close. And the thing about autoimmune diseases is the doctors will literally look at you and be like, we don't understand. We don't understand how people get them, and
right, yeah.
they'll blame it on genetics, but for the most part, they really don't understand, and I think it's just got a lot to do with stress. And I'm not saying, I don't know, I don't want to I'm no expert. I'm just saying there's a lot of unknown to it, and I think from my experience, I figured it out.
It might be a good idea to treat the unknown with unknown things that happen within meditation. So would you say that would you say that meditation works for you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible story. When you told me that, I was like, you got to come on here. I mean, I just can't believe it that you just came from weighing 80 pounds, wheelchair, surgeries in the hospital, almost dying, to just here you are now. You look great. You look like nothing's wrong with you and never has been. You don't look like you've been through the ringer. I mean, a lot of people have, and they come out on the other side looking like they've been through the ringer. I mean, you look great. So
Thank you.
I really am happy that you're here, and that you showed up and had the nerve and the courage to show up, because I know it's hard for somebody that doesn't do this to be able to just get in front of a microphone and to be able to share such a vulnerable story. And so I appreciate you showing up. But I know a lot of the people that come on this channel, so I know that they really do. I'm sure they admire your story, and they admired your courage for being here. And so I know you entertained them for tonight, and they're clapping for you right now. I'm sure of it. So they're all good people. And so, well, that's. Is there anything else you want to say? I don't want to take away from your story.
No,
Okay.
that's good.
All right. Well, Melissa, thank you for coming, and
Thank you.
we really do appreciate it and sharing. And what we're going to do is I didn't put a what you call it, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I didn't put a poll up for the meditation because I figured that what we would do is I want to say that Melissa, she did this whole journey just basically with one meditation. You didn't buy 10 of them.
No.
And I think that goes to show right there. There's no secret meditation. Would you say there's a secret meditation?
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she found one that worked for her, and she just stuck with that and was able to cure everything. So there's not necessarily a secret magic meditation to be searching for out there. So I've thought in honor of her, we would just do the Blessings of the Energy 5.
Oh, yeah.
If that works for you.
Yes.
Unless you want to do something else. Maybe you're tired of doing that one. I don't know.
Never.
But I thought we would get a little taste and see what she does, and do that ourselves. So again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And yeah, absolutely. Stay here. Don't
Okay.
move, because you're all wired up. Now, if you guys could, thank you for coming. Let me get the Zoom call up, and we'll get everybody over there. I think the link is in the description below, but I'll also pull it up here in just a moment. Are you going to stay and meditate with us?
Yes.
All right, she's going to stay and meditate. All right, so let me pull this up here. All right, so here's the link. Rosario says, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, guys.
And Elizabeth says, thank you, Melissa. You look like 16YO, I guess years old.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
I think she had a question of, was it daily or twice a day?
Daily. When I did the AM PM, I would do those in the PM at evening. But Blessings of the Energy Center every morning, first thing.
So you would do that, and then the AM, PM, and that's all you did?
Yes.
Every day? You just did that every day like that?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound complicated. Rich says, thank you for bringing Melissa on, Gregory. So brave and what a fighter. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you.
Rich. So I put the link in, I think I did. Yeah, I put the link in the description below. So get in there, and we're going to start the meditation. It's 8:16. We're going to give about 5 minutes so we can have a little restroom break and get everybody into the Zoom call. So we're going to get started in 5 minutes. Got to pull up the meditation, and yeah, so that's that. We'll see you over there in just a second. All right, let's see here. Start. Do you need to use the restroom or anything?
Yes.
Okay. Let me unplug you from right here. You can take that with you.
Okay.
And you can take it off to it, in the bathroom there. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. It's 8:17 right now, so we'll start at 8:22. We'll get the meditation started. We're going to do Blessings of the Energy 5 in honor of Melissa. That's the meditation that she did for a long time. So the link is in the description below on the YouTube channel. Or I also put it in the chats as well too. So if you want to come join us over there, if you've never meditated before, just come over and try it for 5 minutes. Then you can leave. It's no big deal. All right, let's see if we get some more people coming in. All right, got a good crew showing up. Jen, Jen, the link's not working for you. I'm not sure why that is. All right, so Miss Deborah, the link is in the description below, or it is also, I wrote it in the comments section as well too. You just click on the link and then you'll get in that way. About 3.5 more minutes and we'll get started. Oh. Admit all. All right, guys. Actually, we're going to do the introduction. What Dr. Joe does. There's a little 5-minute introduction of what to do during this meditation. So we'll kick it off with that, and then right after that, we'll get started right into the meditation. So I think this is about 5 minutes long.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Joe here. I wanted to take a moment before
Can you guys hear that?
this meditation to give you an explanation of the blessing of the Energy Center 6. This meditation, I want you to know, is an advanced meditation. And I'm going to recommend that before you do this one, that you practice blessings of the Energy Centers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Because each one of those particular meditations builds on the previous one so that people can continue to evolve their understanding. Each one of your energy centers has their own energy, their own frequency, they carry their own message, their own intent, they have their own consciousness, their own glands, their own hormones, their own chemicals, and their own individual brains. Because energy activates these centers, and energy is emotion or energy in motion, this particular meditation is designed for you to begin to consciously and willfully activate these centers and participate by calling up different emotions and feeling those emotions in each one of these centers. Now, think about this. You have a tremendous amount of creative energy that sits in your first center. As you learned in the past, most people believe that that energy has to move in one direction, out. And when that energy erupts out, we have an orgasm or we have an ejaculation. But that energy can be moved up your spine all the way back into your brain. And the blessing of the Energy Centers 5 was your introduction into this. So then that creative energy, that energy that you use for procreation, for making a child, an enormous amount of energy that exists there. That energy naturally moves to the second center when we feel safe, when we feel secure, when we're connected to people, to a tribe, to a culture, to a community, that we have food and shelter, energy can naturally move into the second center because we feel safe, we feel protected. Once our environment no longer feels safe and we can't perceive or predict or know what's going to happen in the next moment and there's disruption in our safety, it makes sense that now we have to activate our third center and use our will or our empowerment to overcome those conditions. If we're successful, that energy moves right into our heart and we feel more whole and more in love with life, we feel more gratitude, we feel more connected. Now, when we feel those feelings in our heart, the next probable thing is that we want to express it. So we want to express through our fifth center our greatest understanding, our greatest truth, our greatest love. And if that energy continues and it moves up, it moves into the sixth center, and all of a sudden, dormant areas of the brain begin to become activated, and our spectrum of reality broadens. We perceive more of reality because now some conditioning or some veil or illusion has been lifted. If that energy continues into the pituitary gland, it releases all of its elixirs, and it creates more harmony in the body, and it creates more harmony in our environment, and the divine in us moves a little bit closer. There's a back part of the pituitary gland called the posterior pituitary that releases oxytocin and vasopressin. Once these chemicals are released, our heart begins to swell, and we feel so worthy, we feel so in love with life, we feel so great to be alive, that it's that feeling that allows us to activate our eighth center. And that eighth center then, as that energy moves up, causes an electromagnetic field around our body to begin to become enhanced. And when we feel that feeling of grace and we feel that feeling of gratitude that we are so in love and blessed, that reverse field begins to come through the top of our head. And now we are downloading information and receiving, and we are worthy to receive in that moment. So I'm telling you this because when we do this meditation, when we put our attention in the first center, I'm going to ask you to call up raw passion, that raw passion that we have when we're aroused in some way. The serpent in us begins to awaken. And when I ask you to put your attention in your second center, I'm going to ask you to trust your gut, to feel secure and safe, that everything is in order in your life. That's the feeling I want you to create. When I ask you to activate your third center and awaken it, I'm going to ask you to use your will and your power to become empowered, and I want you to feel it in the center. Your participation in this process actually quickens the energy. In your fourth center, I want you to feel the power of love. That's how you awaken it. In your fifth center, I want you to feel what it feels
Would you
like
mind?
to
Would you want to take questions a little bit later
in
on?
the center, and to express your greatest
You
truth.
would?
And you're excited about expressing.
I'll
your
let them
greatest
know that.
truth. The sixth center, we awaken it with the power and the energy of the mystical. When we're in awe, when we're surprised, when we're in wonder of how rich life is, that we become more awakened and we see the hidden meaning behind all things. Something changes in us that we can perceive a broader spectrum of reality. That's the emotion, that's the energy. The seventh center is harmony, it's balance, it's coherence, it's the very life of energy, it's the life force of energy, it's the aliveness of energy, it's our divinity, it's the fabric of everything material. And I just want you to fall in love with the divine in that moment and feel it. Your eighth center will be the energy that has to do with being worthy to receive, truly worthy to receive, and your participation in bringing up that emotion while you're in that center as an awareness begins to change its energy. So we will use emotions, energy in motion, and it's your willful participation in this that will begin to activate these centers more. And take a chance, really take a chance and feel. When we get to the eighth center, I'm going to ask you to unfold into the unified field, that realm beyond space and time. There's nothing physical there. There's no people. There's no bodies. There's no things. There's no places. There isn't even time. It's just an infinite space that's filled with energy. And the more you're conscious of this energy and unfold deeper and connect to greater frequencies of oneness and wholeness in the unified field, and you can feel it and you can remember it, that's the energy you're going to draw from the field to begin to impregnate your body with some vital life force and to raise its frequency. And we'll go down from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, and you'll begin to feel each section of your body as we do it, and then we'll ask you then to feel that energy with your entire body, and then you'll lay your body down and allow it to drift away and allow your autonomic nervous system to take the orders. So I hope you enjoy.
All right, everybody. So I talked to Melissa. She's actually going to stick around after the meditation and answer any questions if you have any. So you don't have to talk to me later on. All right, so give me just a second to pull this up. I believe this is the 5. All right, we'll see you on the other side here. That's it,
Sit
right?
up.
Okay.
Time to ascend your energy. Take all that creative energy, move it up into your brain. Here we go.
Just doing a little babysitting, making sure everything's cool, and then I'll come over there in a minute.
Lift those muscles up and in, and with the intention of pulling energy into your brain, inhale. Pull that energy all the way up to the top. Hold it. And squeeze. Squeeze more.
I think everybody's good.
Pull it up.